to Across the Fence. I'm Jolie Whitney. Tomorrow, May 4th, is Green Up Day in Vermont. This annual tradition coincides with Arbor Day, which has its roots in the 19th century. Here in the Green Mountains, we take it up a notch. While planting trees, Vermonters also do a bit of spring cleaning of roadsides and public places. In a moment, we'll hear from a member of UVM Extension's Urban and Community Forestry program about these environmentally friendly celebrations. But first, we answer that ages-old conundrum: if a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound? Across the Fence's Ben Willis has taken that question a step further to ask what happens to a forest after a tree falls. Here's Ben and Chittenden County Forester Ethan Tapper.
Many of us may feel upset at the sight of so many fallen trees. But what we are seeing today is a sign of a positive change. An aggressive forest management technique is underway, designed to allow this forest to return to its old growth grandeur. To learn more, we are joining Forester Ethan Tapper to learn about this counterintuitive approach to conservation.
So we're here at the Heinsberg Town Forest, the Hayden Hill Road East access, and we're just walking up the truck road, which is going to bring us to the landing, and from the landing off go the skid trails that branch off into the area that we managed here between 2021 and 2023.
For the past 5 years, Ethan has held over 40 events in this forest to help the public better understand forest management practices.
We go into a forest and it often involves cutting trees and it looks like a mess afterwards. We open up gaps in the canopy, there's dead wood on the ground, and all of those things are totally incomprehensible to most people. How could it be that loving a forest could mean or could involve cutting trees? But it does.
Ethan is trying to help Vermont's relatively young forests recover from the trauma of generations of land use and mismanagement.
Almost all of Vermont's forests are incredibly altered and degraded. Almost every forest that any of us have ever been in Vermont was an agricultural field within the last 200 years, and most of them were a field within the last 60 to 100 years. So I want to show you something over here. So that area that we were just in, people see these big trees and they'll see this forest and say this forest must be really ancient, when in fact this was a house where people lived here and farmed this land, that exact same area that we were just walking through a woods of big sugar maple trees in. They farmed that land for generations. This has been a forest for probably less than 100 years.
In the 1800s, only around 20% of Vermont was forested. Today, it's closer to 75%. But Ethan points out there are problems with how these forests have grown back.
These forests are young and they're missing all of these really critical components that are foundational to forest ecology and important to providing habitat for all of our native wildlife. The conditions that we find in old growth forests, things like some big trees, but not a lot, maybe 10 to 12 big trees per acre, lots of dead wood on the ground, lots of gaps in the canopy, a multi-generational forest, many different sizes and ages of trees. Those are the conditions to which our native critters, our biodiversity, adapted to for thousands of years.
Ethan tells us that these young forests can actually create an inhospitable ecosystem for certain species and reduce biodiversity.
When I think about the need to act and the need to actually do things to help our biodiversity, to help our forests be healthy, I think about, how much things have changed and how it is unreasonable to expect that our ecosystems and all the species that comprise them can respond to all of these changes by themselves, and that there's nothing that we need to do to help them.
At the location we're at today, it might look like devastation, but it is evidence of the extensive work Ethan has done to help this forest grow back as a healthier and more diverse ecosystem.
So in this place that we're looking at right now, what we started with is a pretty even age stand of trees. So all the trees are about the same age as a result of having been the generation of trees that established in this old pasture, when this old pasture was allowed to go fallow. And so what we wanted to do, instead of having a single generation of trees, is to really create some of the characteristics of an old growth forest here. So we wanted to put dead wood on the ground, we wanted to create a more multi-generational forest, and we wanted to also give the healthiest trees here more room to grow to become bigger faster and provide the attributes of big old trees. And so what we've done is removed less healthy individuals. We've left treetops and trees laying on the ground to provide that dead wood component, and also to protect young seedlings that are going to regenerate here from deer browse, because white-tailed deer is a major concern for forest diversity. They browse all the little seedlings and they can prevent certain species from being able to grow.
Ethan is aware that educating the general public about this work can be a challenge.
One of the things that's a common misconception about forestry is that when a tree is cut or when it dies, that something has been lost. But when you look at forest ecology in a more in-depth way, what you'll see is that this is a beginning.
Ethan hopes people will see that with the right knowledge and management practices, we can have healthier forests, if we have the will to do it.
One thing that I think is really important that we all recognize is that we already have the tools to help our ecosystems heal. The question is just if we decide that we're willing to do the things that are necessary to protect our biodiversity, to protect our ecosystems, to make our forests more resilient, to make our forests healthier, or if we'll decide that, those things are too hard, or too confusing, or too bittersweet, or we're not willing to do it. But we know that we can.
At the Heinsberg Town Forest, I'm Ben Willis with Across the Fence.
Our thanks to Ben and Ethan. For more on Ethan's woodsy content, visit his YouTube channel where he provides commentary on everything from forestry management to what to do if you get lost in the woods. And joining me in studio to talk about trees and forests, both urban and rural, is Gwen Kozlowski. She is the Outreach and Education Coordinator for Vermont's Urban and Community Forestry Program, which is a collaboration between Vermont's Department of Forest, Parks and Recreation and UVM Extension. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're so glad you're here. Can you first tell me a little bit about what this program is?
Yeah, the Urban and Community Forestry Program in a nutshell is supporting communities and managing their community trees. And we do that through a variety of ways. We offer technical support while helping conduct tree inventories. We offer financial support through a grants program and educational opportunities like our upcoming conference and training and other events like that.
And speaking of events coming up, in Vermont, Arbor Day was historically celebrated on a Friday, but as we mentioned in the introduction, it kind of goes hand in hand with Green Up Day. Can you tell me a little bit about the significance of Arbor Day in our state, even historically?
Yeah, Arbor Day is a day set aside to celebrate trees and all of the benefits that they provide. So with our changing climate, invasive species, so many environmental challenges that we face today, trees really are part of the solution. So a day set aside to celebrate the benefits of those trees, whether they're in your backyards, along our streets, or in a forest, they are cleaning our air, cleaning our water, providing shade, creating habitat. A day set aside to celebrate those benefits is still really critically important.
Absolutely. And if you haven't had enough of Arbor Day after this coming weekend, can you tell me a little bit about the programs and the conference you have coming up?
Yeah, we are celebrating Arbor Day with the Vermont Urban and Community Forestry Conference on Thursday, May 23rd at the Vermont State University in the Randolph campus. We have 12 workshops available for everything from tree planting to community engagement. It's really designed for anyone who's interested in trees and tree management, or municipal volunteers or staff. So you could join us on Thursday, May 23rd.
And so that's open to the public?
Open to the public, yes.
Absolutely. So if you want to know more about trees, mark it on your calendar.
Yes, please.
And it may seem kind of easy to find a tree and plant a tree, but there's a little bit more that goes into the planting process. Can you tell me, if I'm interested in planting a tree in my yard, what do you suggest before I get to digging?
Yeah, our motto is the right tree in the right place in the right way. So really, before you even plant a tree, consider the goals of your planting. Is it for fall color? Is it for shade? Is it for beauty, aesthetics? Really consider what you want that tree to do. And second, assess your site. Do you have enough space for your tree? Look at below ground. Are there any water lines or utility wires above ground? So really consider the space that you have, match it with your goals, and then select a tree species that fits both of those elements. And on our website, we have a tree selection tool that you could sort through several different characteristics and pick the right tree for the right place, and we also have tips for the right way.
Great, absolutely. And is that something that when I may be tree shopping, I can ask there?
Oh, absolutely, yes. But you go prepared with the questions that you want.
Great, so check the website first.
Check
and
the website
then
first.
come prepared with some good questions. Great.
Yes.
And if I'm interested in doing that, you folks have some funding opportunities to help people trying to plant trees in their community. Is that right?
That's right. So we are partnering with the Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission for the Community Tree Planting Grant. So we have $630,000 for municipalities and nonprofits to apply for community tree planting projects. So the first application is due May 17th, but a second round will be available in early next year as well. And the goal is to get trees in the ground. So if your municipality or nonprofit's interested, you could check out our website for the Community Tree Planting Grant. And this is funded by the American Rescue Plan Act as well.
All right, and if the Vermont Urban and Community Forestry Program oversees the Big Tree List, can you tell me about what that is?
Of course, that's my favorite program.
Right.
So we currently monitor about over 80 species on the Vermont Big Tree List, and these are the largest that we know of, but it's a novelty list, and the goal is really to keep track of these really big historic giants. So if somebody wants to get involved, if they're out in their woods or walking along, if they want to challenge one of our current tree champions, take a picture and send us some measurements. Online, our Big Tree List actually has several photographs and all the measurements, so you can see if your trees measure up to our champions.
Oh, great, so you can compete. Maybe
Yes.
you have the biggest tree in Vermont.
A lot of pride comes with that.
And before we wrap up the program today, can you tell me about what the Community Canopy Program is?
Yeah, the Community Canopy Program is a free tree giveaway that we partner with the Arbor Day Foundation on. This year we have 1,000 free trees to give away to 5 select communities, which are Bennington, Bellows Falls, St. Albans, St. Johnsbury, and Rutland. So if you're in one of those communities, sign up for a free tree today. That's also available on our website, vtcommunityforestry.org.
Great, an opportunity in every corner of the state. All right, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And that takes care of Fence for today. My thanks to everyone working behind the scenes here at WCAX who makes this program possible. I'm Jolie Whitney. Have a good one.